And the latest Nanos research poll for CTV News and the Globe and Mail shows the Liberals gaining some ground.
Liberals are up just over a point to just under 45% support. This is over the three-day change. That gives the Liberals about a 7-point lead over the Conservatives, who remain unchanged, just under 38% support. The NDP up slightly to 8.8%. The Bloc, Greens and PPC are all down slightly. Let's talk more about these numbers out today. Nik Nanos from Nanos Research, of course, joins us to talk about this. Nik, what are you noticing here about the trend of this campaign overall? Because it really evidently is just a two-party race at this point. Now the Liberals tracking up a little bit. There doesn't seem to be a whole lot of movement at the top.
Yeah. The thing is the movement at the top has been between what I'll say 4 to 6 to 7 percentage points in terms of the advantage for the Liberals. The most striking thing for me, and, we've talked about this a little bit in the past, is the absolute divide between East and Western Canada, where, the Liberals are doing well in Atlantic Quebec and Ontario, and the Conservatives are doing really well in the Prairies and are very competitive in BC. It's kind of like there's two Canadas, and they're not talking to each other. And it speaks to the polarization that we're seeing right now in our political dialogue.
Yeah, and Nik, this is a pretty big week. I mean, 2 weeks to go until Election Day, but we've got some English and French language debates coming up. Ironically, or I should say, maybe not fortuitously, the French language debate falling on the night of the Montreal Canadiens playoff game. So that might take some eyeballs away from the French language debate. But we know that between Carney and Poilievre, Carney's French maybe not as strong. Do you see these numbers change in any big way? Do you expect to see them change in any big way after these debates?
Oh, they can definitely change after the debates. And, the other thing that's quite important to realize is that, the thing is that when we look at the debates, the thing is not only are people tuning into the debates, they're also looking at the news coverage following the debates. So, the thing is that even with the playoff game, there are going to be people that are still going to be watching the debates, and then they're going to be looking at the news coverage. And the French debate especially is going to be quite critical for Mark Carney. If he can get through it without getting severely damaged, he'll probably be happy, because if you look at those Quebec numbers right now, the Liberals are at 45%, and then we have the Bloc and then the Conservatives almost tied for second place. So significant advantage for the Liberals right now. It'll be interesting to see coming out of the French debate whether that advantage diminishes.
Is your sense, Nik, that people in Quebec really care that much about Carney's French, or is it just the fact that he's the representative? You're talking about the numbers in Quebec, and 45%, that's a pretty healthy number. And if he's going to get a majority, he needs to win Quebec like that. Is French really the issue, or is it more just the moment, the positions, and what he stands for, as opposed to, Trump?
Yeah, Nik, it's actually more about the moment at the positions. The thing is that for most Canadians, including Quebecers, they know that Mark Carney's French is not great. So it's not like there are expectations that he has amazing French. And, although Quebecers would prefer someone with really strong, perfect French skills, right now, at least, they're at a moment in time where they're thinking about who can best represent Canada and deal with Donald Trump and to bring some stability. That said, because of that, the Bloc is just getting squeezed. This might be a really bad election for the Bloc unless Blanchette kind of really pulls it out of the bag and kind of scores some sort of knockout punch on Wednesday. It's going to be tough.
For sure. Okay. And Nik, I want to look at the preferred premier numbers, because Carney is up about 14% from the Conservatives. So how do you square kind of the difference between preferred prime minister and who voters want to be, the next government in charge? Like, when it comes down to Election Day, do you see those gaps closing between these numbers?
Well, the thing is, what's clear is that for those that are voting Liberal, they're voting because of Mark Carney, not because of the Liberal Party or what's happened in the last 10 years. And for those that are voting Conservative, it's because they want the Liberals out. They think that it's time for a change. They're probably good with Pierre Poilievre, but the thing is, they're voting for a specific purpose, is to get the Liberals out. And, the thing is that's why, for the debates for Pierre Poilievre, a good performance in the debates for him would probably help him a little bit because it'll help with his leadership numbers. But for Mark Carney, it's not what he has to do is just basically get through the debates, hopefully, from his perspective at least, without messing up. Right. Okay, Nik Nanos, appreciate this. We'll tee up the debates coming up on Wednesday morning with Nik as well here on TV24 Breakfast. Appreciate this and the numbers as always. Nik, thank you.
Thanks, Nik.
Bye-bye.